In-N-Out is the king of fast food burgers. The Big Mac, Whopper, Famous Star, those quality and prices don't even compare. But what about Five Guys, Habit, Shake Shack? Yeah, sure, throw more money at a problem and you're more likely to get a better outcome. But In-N-Out has the best cost to quality ratio you can get. For y'all who aren't fortunate enough to have an In-N-Out near you, I'm going to recreate an exact replica of the In-N-Out Double at home. But first, we're gonna have to do something unholy in order to make this burger. Buns, spread, pickles, tomatoes, lettuce, patty, cheese, onions, and a bun again. Not only is it important to get the taste of everything to match, we're trying to also get the texture. So we need to weigh and measure all of the components to make sure every bite is exactly the same. And we're gonna start with the hardest part because I barely know how to bake. There are so many ways to make a hamburger bun, so I had no idea where to start until I found this. Puritan Bakery, best buns in town, where it gives me a crucial clue on how to start baking. What the heck is the sponge and dough method? Normally, you could just mix flour, water, and yeast together to form a dough. You let it rise, shape it, let it rise again, and then bake it to get your bread. According to these books, the sponge method has 2 stages. First, you make the sponge by mixing part of your flour and yeast and water. You let that rise, then the second stage is when you add the rest of your ingredients. Let it rise again, shape it, rise for a third time, and finally, bake it to get your bread. This method is supposed to improve the flavor and texture of the bread. But what else do they put in these buns? According to an article by the OC Register, the buns use natural ingredients. One of them is vegetable shortening. This would explain why the buns are so soft. Let's see how many buns this is gonna take to make. In my stand mixer, I'm adding flour, yeast, and water, and mixing it until it forms a smooth dough. I'm letting it rise until it doubles in size. And then I'm adding my other stuff: sugar, salt, yeast, and egg, water, and more flour. I talk more about the science of dough conditioners in my non-video, so check that out if you want to learn more. It basically just softens the texture of the dough. When everything comes together, I add vegetable shortening, and then it's gonna mix together until you can pull the dough real thin and it doesn't tear. I think this is what it's supposed to look like. This is the window pane test. And then you let it rise until it doubles in size again. I'm also making 4-inch rings out of foil in order to make the buns the exact size I need. And I weighed each ball of dough about 15% heavier than the target weight of 77 grams to account for the shrinkage when baking. We're gonna roll the balls up as tight as we can in order for it to be a nice round shape. After letting it double in size once again, we bake it. Oh shit. Alright, well, these are way too tall. These are like this tall. This does not look like it worked. These guards are just gonna rip out the side of the bun, which is not what I want. I think I just gotta leave it like this. Probably, same recipe. I think this time I'm gonna bake it a little bit darker. Weigh it to the exact weight that I need because it didn't really lose that much weight baking. They're all stuck to the bottom. Okay, maybe I should bake this on parchment paper too. Let me just try it while it's a little warm. I think I'll do it again. We're trying to figure out the secret sauce to In-N-Out. It's basically these 4 simple ingredients, but In-N-Out gives us one crucial clue using a bit of math. If you go to their website, you could actually check their nutrition. So if you get a hamburger and subtract a hamburger with mustard and ketchup instead of spread, you get the difference of 7 grams of fat and 60 calories. We're gonna assume a little bit of ketchup and mustard was already in the spread, so we're gonna add back in 20 calories. That means there's a total of 80 calories in the spread. The 7 grams of fat purely comes from mayo, which is about 66 calories of the 80 total calories. This leaves us with 14 calories to divide between relish, ketchup, and mustard. So I made some estimated guesses and got these ratios. Okay, let's just give it a try. I'm gonna taste In-N-Outs first. This is not actually that salty or sweet or anything. It feels like a little bit of fat, tiny bit of acid, and a little bit of sweetness. Very faint. And it looks almost exactly the same now. It's almost the same. Something is slightly off. I think this is more umami. Let me try putting some MSG in here. Just a little bit of MSG. Oh my God. Are you serious? In-N-Out had this strong aromatic flavor, and mustard has like a really negligible amount of calories. So I added a little bit more MSG and a tiny bit of mustard, and it tastes almost exactly the same now. I'm happy with this, and let's frickin' move on. Whew. So here's the second batch. They look a lot better than last time. These burgers look a little light. Okay, sweetness level's okay. This is way too dry and chewy to be like an In-N-Out burger. I think the skin is just way too thick to taste like In-N-Out. I think I gotta try again, but with a special trick up my sleeve.
While I take another 5 hours to make the bread, we're gonna work on the patties. On the website, it says they used 100%
Beef chuck.
but
There is a sneaky trick that they use, and that doesn't have anything to do with meat.
so we gotta do some hamburger math. If you take a double-double and subtract a cheeseburger, you get a patty with cheese. Take a cheeseburger and subtract a hamburger, you get cheese. Take the patty with cheese and subtract the cheese, you get the nutrition of a patty, which is 10 grams of protein, 8 grams of fat, and 110 calories.
This leads to a calculation of the meat being 55% lean and 45% fat. But chuck is usually known for being 80-20. How does that work?
Turns out, on their website they use whole chuck, which could probably include the fat caps on the chuck itself. So in order to recreate this burger with the ratio we want, we're gonna have to add 1 pound of beef fat into 3 pounds of ground beef chuck and combine them together. While making our raw patties, we had to consider that meat with this much fat loses about 30% of its total weight when cooked. So we're gonna pre-measure the patties to be about 50 grams or around 2 ounces in order to get it to our target weight of about 33 grams.
A little bit of salt, pepper. That's kind of upsetting that this actually looks like the size that In-N-Out uses. Like, that's not even 2 ounces of meat. 3.3 inches? Oh my God, this is almost exactly it. It needs to weigh about 33 grams. And that's 31 grams. Holy shit. In-N-Out only just gives us less than 2 ounce patties. That's crazy. I actually cannot believe how juicy this is. Well, I can based on, this is 40% fat.
Now to figure out the last major component. That special trick to make that perfect In-N-Out bun is steam. Steam heats up bread more efficiently and also gelatinizes the starches on the surface to give the crust a nice brown color.
Haha, we got the color! It's golden brown! And it kept its shape. I think these are looking like In-N-Out buns. So you don't even need to butter wash them or milk wash them if you add steam during the cooking. These are the nicest burger buns I've ever made. And it has like the flat bottom too. All right, I gotta let these cool down before I try it out. Okay, this is how many buns I made. Here's 1 bag, 2 bags, 3 bags, 4 bags of buns. I put them in bags because this is how In-N-Out gets them delivered. So I need them a little bit smushed so it can be the right size. And we're gonna have to find the perfect set of buns for this burger.
Before we put everything together, we're gonna slice onions and then grill them for an hour until they turn deep, dark brown. And now we can finally put our burger together.
Can I get a double animal style? Thank you.
I think it's easy to get caught up in wanting our ideas to be groundbreaking and waiting for that right moment. But I've realized that as kids, we learn by copying others, finding our place in the world through imitation. Over time, all those moments of following eventually shaped us into individuals with our own style and perspective. It's easy to forget that discovering your own path is often just taking the first step, sometimes by copying someone else's.
This is actually so crazy. I can't believe how similar it looks. In and out first.
And eventually, after enough times, you'll find your own unique way.
Hell yeah. Oh my god. Yeah, I'm gonna finish this. Have a nice day.